Let's go ahead and get started. The time is now 7:01 and the date is May 3rd, 2021. This is a regular meeting of the Springfield City Council. Will the council and any guests please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please be so kind to please call the roll?
Councillor Edwards?
Present.
Present. Councillor Letterman?
Present.
Present. Councillor Gomez?
Present.
Present. Councillor Allen?
Present.
Present. Councillor Curran?
Present.
Present. Councillor Whitfield?
Present.
Present. Councillor Ramos?
Present.
Present. Councillor Brown? Absent. Councillor Walsh?
I know she is tentative for this meeting, Madam Clerk.
Okay, so I'll come back. Absent. Councillor Davila? Absent. Councillor Fenton?
Present.
Present. Councillor Hurst?
Present.
Present. Councillor Williams?
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, can you please call the first item on the agenda?
The first item on the agenda is to amend an existing special permit at 87 Quincy Street. It was continued from April 26th.
All right, and Madam Clerk, is there any remaining testimony on this special permit?
There is no remaining testimony.
All right, if that's the case, then are there any other questions for the petitioner from the City Council at this time? All right, Madam Clerk, I see Councillor Davila. Just give him an opportunity to be recognized.
Councillor Davila?
Present.
Present.
All right, again, I will ask, are there any other questions for the petitioner from the council at this time? Seeing none, is there any other further deliberation that the council would like to have amongst themselves at this time? Any further deliberation? All right, seeing none. I will now, the hearing is closed, I should say, for the record, and I will now entertain a motion to approve this special permit.
I make a motion to approve the special permit.
All right, a motion has been made by Councillor Whitfield, second.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Allen, I believe that was.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll? I'm sorry, was Councillor Gomez recognized, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Can you please call the roll on accepting and approving this permit?
On approving the special permit. Councillor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Brown? Absent. Councillor Walsh? Absent. Councillor Davila? Yes. Councillor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Williams?
Yes, the special permit has been approved. Councillor Edwards, can you please state the reasons for approval?
The specific site is an appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition. The use as developed will not adversely affect the neighborhood. Adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use. To incorporate the planning staff analysis into the decision as the basis of finding.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on accepting the reasons?
On accepting the reasons, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown absent. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, the reasons have been approved. Congratulations. Next, councilors, do we have any reports of committee this evening? And are there any reports of committee this evening?
Mr. President, raise hand. Okay, there.
Okay. Councilor Fenton, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Casino Oversight Committee met earlier today. I was joined by our colleagues, Councilors Gomez, Hurst, Letterman, Whitfield, and Allen. I don't believe I'm missing anybody else. If I am, I apologize. We were also joined by representatives of MGM Springfield. We discussed the intention for MGM to reactivate some of its outdoor space this summer, including outdoor dining at taps and on a more limited COVID compliant basis, outdoor concerts. Also discussed the desire to have the new Wahlburgers restaurant opened up by the end of this month. There was a discussion about the status of Court Square and those ongoing construction issues. And we had extensive discussions about the status of the state law negotiations around online betting and specifically sports betting. We expect to have another meeting before summer. And one more thing, we also talked about the status of some of the surrounding community studies that I've asked MGM to perform, consistent with the host community agreement, so we can evaluate what impacts, if any, surrounding communities are having, and they're getting paid a lot of money for those alleged impacts. So we're gonna get those studies as soon as COVID's over and report back on what we can do to mitigate some of those costs. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton, for that report. Councilor Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. President. On April 22nd, the General Government Committee met. In attendance was Councilors Garmacendo, Gomez, Michael Fenton, yourself, President Williams, Councilor Letterman, Councilor Davila. In addition, we also had the Election Commissioner Gladys Oyola was available and Attorney Thealise from Procurement. We also had one guest, which was Lisa Clausen representing the Carpenters Union. We discussed three issues that night. First, we discussed the Youth Poet Laureate that was proposed at an earlier meeting. Everybody in attendance thought that it was an excellent idea and we should move forward with it. And our recommendation back to the committee of the whole is for us to be passed. The second item that we discussed was a special act relative to the filling of the council vacancies for ward councilors. At the day after that meeting, I reached out to Mayor Sarno as the chairman of the school committee and asked for him to share the information that we're discussing with the members of the school committee. I had a conversation with Melinda Phelps, attorney Melinda Phelps, where I gave her an overview of what we had discussed. And I was contacted by Mr. Collins, school committee member as well, who informed me at their most recent school committee meeting, they took up the discussion, and what was reported back to me was that the school committee does not need special home rule legislation in order to change their election processes. As such, I believe it's been more than a few decades since they've actually changed things around, but it is under their purview. and they do not need our assistance to do that. They will and have started the process of considering how they want to fill their vacancies. So the recommendation, there was not a vote of the committee because we didn't have that information at the General Government Committee, but it is my recommendation back to you tonight is that if you deem it appropriate, that it should come out of committee and be considered for first step. And I believe that Councillor Davila or my Councillor Fenton at the appropriate time will do so. The third item that was discussed that night was wage theft and amendment to Chapter 82. And at that meeting, there was a discussion with Attorney Theolise from procurement about certain parts of the ordinance that were actually redundant and already in place. We had some conversations about what the legalities of what we're proposing to do. And I believe that there is work being done at present time on an amendment that would be added to that proposed ordinance. And so it is my recommendation as the chair that it stays in committee. And I will be willing to make that motion at the appropriate time as well, but it should be prepared. We should be prepared to bring it out of committee next Monday at our regular council meeting. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards, for that report. Before moving on to Councillor Hurst, Madam Clerk, can you please recognize Councillor Brown?
Councillor Brown?
Present.
Present.
All right, Councillor Hurst.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Audit Subcommittee of the City Council met on April 14th at 3:30. I was joined by a member of the committee, Councillor Allen, as well as Councillor Whitfield and Councillor Davila. There were two items on the agenda. The first item was a presentation of the Office of Internal Audit's fiscal year 2022 audit plan. And then the second item, which took up the bulk of the meeting, was related to the results of a fiscal year 2020 financial statement audit by Powers and Sullivan. If you'll just oblige me, Mr. President, I'd like to give Councillor Allen an opportunity to fill us in as he's at the forefront on this issue on behalf of the City Council. So, Councillor Allen.
Thanks, Councillor Hurst. So Councillor Hurst asked me to give an update on the pension. The audit that was done by Powers and Sullivan is done on all the city finances, but particularly pointed out the pension. You'll see, you might recall, I sent a memo around to everybody at the time of this meeting 3 or 4 weeks ago. The pension memo basically said, and why did I do that? Because I felt like we had hit a marker that I thought was useful to note. So I just got a couple things I want to say about the pension, and they'll be quick. They're bullet points, but and then I'll talk about where we are now. Our pension fund has been at the bottom of the 100+ public pension funds, the last pension fund. When I first became aware of it a few years ago, we were 26% funded. And the next one ahead of us was the Boston Public School Teachers Fund. They were 42% funded. So we were mired in last place. And we've worked hard and in a unified way to follow the funding requirements. Bear in mind that we are in a pension along with the Springfield Public Schools people, Springfield Water and Sewer Commission, and Springfield Housing Authority. But we are the majority, I believe about 2/3 of the pension money that we save each year is, or that we pay to the pension fund each year is on behalf of the city of Springfield. Just a brief comment why we're so far behind. There's never been a perfect answer to it, but there were rumors of non-payments in some years in the past where this is 20 years ago or 15 or before any of our time. And also that there was a early retirement fund that might not have been early retirement plans that might not have been done at the right time. We were 50% funded at some point 15, 20 years ago, and somehow we fell down to 26. This isn't the fault or anything of any of the current people on the council or the mayor or anybody. We just are left with solving the problem. So one thing that is key to know is that our investment fund is revalued every 2 years. And at that time, an actuary looks at the whole fund and says, do we have enough money? to be fully funded in 2034, which is what we're aiming for. And the next one of those valuations will be next spring, vicinity of next spring. The last 2 years we were revalued in 2018 and in 2020. In 2018, the recommendation was we needed to up our payments 14%, 14% for 2 years in a row, 14%. Obviously, that's 30%. That's a massive amount of money. And then it went down to 8% and 8%. But by that time, the next audit came in, or the next valuation, and that's when we moved it to 9%. So we've been at a roughly 9% increase in our payment yearly. All our money is, we don't manage our investment money. We're in some public retirement investment trust, PRIT. It's called PRIT. And so that is the money. They manage the state's retirement fund, and our money, they manage our money as well. So the state has a law that says all retirement funds should be fully funded by 2040, but we are aiming to be fully funded. The pace we're going on is trying to be fully funded by 2034, 12 years from now, 13 years from now. It'll still be a massive effort to get to do that. Basically, the payment we make goes up about $4 million a year. It's up to around 50 million. I remember when it was 30 million. So we've hit a couple, but here on the good news, let's do the good news. That's why I put the memo out. We've hit a couple milestones in the last couple of years. We finally hit a month where we put more in than we took out. Recently we hit 30% funding, and that was what caused me to put the memo out and just say, great job, everybody. You know, the mayor, the retirement board, the finance team, the council, because we really had to keep our eye on the ball on this. And there's no slippage. The people in the past, some people in the past did some slippage, but we're making up for that. So, but the hard thing is every year it goes up 4 million. So if it was 50 this year, it'll be 54 and then 58. And it actually gets to years where it's over 100 million. So obviously we'll have just ongoing discussions as to what we do at that point. And, you know, the finance team will tell us what they can afford. But right now it's been a great effort, I think, by everybody doing the same, agreeing that this is what we need to do, make these payments and stay on track. And I just wanted to compliment everybody who's in that. You know, the finance team starts it, the retirement board, the mayor and the city council. And we finally hit 30%, which is no great achievement, but considering where we were, it's a pretty great achievement to be doing what we need to be doing. So that's really the report. The outside auditors agreed with that as well. So thank you, Councilor Hurst, for the opportunity to say that.
Councilor Hurst, were you all set?
Yes, thank you. That concludes my report. Thank you, Councilor Allen. Well done.
All right, thank you, Councilors Hurst and Allen. Madam Vice President.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mr. President. Let's see. So the Finance Committee had a meeting on April 21st about the American Rescue Plan Act. And through that act, there will be $127,328,698 estimated dollars coming into the city. 97.5 million is coming directly to Springfield. I believe it's from federal. Lindsay, is that accurate? Coming straight from the federal government to Springfield?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and then 27.9 million, that would normally go toward a county, but for some reason it's coming to Springfield too, because of the allocation. And if anyone needs more clarification on that, finance team can actually explain it better than me. We're waiting for direction from the U.S. Treasury on how the money can be spent. But as of right now, the uses that we know of are any responses to COVID-19 for public health emergencies, negative impacts on household, business, nonprofits, travel, tourism, and hospitality. And it can be used toward lost revenue. We're unsure on how lost revenue will be determined at present. It can also be invested in water, sewer, and broadband. Don't know any details beyond that. The only restriction that we know is that the funds cannot be used toward pension, to piggyback on what Councillor Allen was just saying, and it cannot be used to reduce taxes. And so that's how far we got. I want to thank the members of the finance team for always coming to the finance meetings, Councillors Davila and Allen. And I want to thank Councillor Gomez, Fenton, and Letterman for also joining us on that meeting. We also had a finance committee meeting today to go over the grants and the order that will be presented today. And so we will let that take its course. Nothing really stood out except for the order to use Rule 52 to get the finances that has been spent by the administration on litigation for the police commission. And we will get into those details when that comes up on the city council agenda. And so and I want to thank councilors again from the finance committee, Davila and Allen, for being there. Also Councillor Hurst, Councillor Fenton, Councillor Letterman, Councillor Gomez. And I think that's all that was there today. If I missed anyone, I do apologize. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Letterman.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The COVID-19 Response Committee has met twice since our last meeting. We met on April 20th with Commissioner Carlton Harris to discuss our weekly general update on the municipal response to COVID-19. Also, we met on May 4th with the Economic Development Director, Tim Sheehan, to just have an initial conversation about where we are at in terms of the economic response to the pandemic and hopefully the pending recovery, as Councillor Whitfield mentioned, around those AMR funds that will be coming in. We had a preliminary conversation about what type of aid may be able to be made available directly to businesses, and focused especially, I think, on making sure we reach the smallest businesses, the neighborhood businesses that may not have the same types of resources to track these funds when they become available. And we had had a good conversation about engaging especially ward councilors in those efforts, because really the people that live in the neighborhoods that know those businesses the best and may be able to help connect them with the city. So stay tuned for that in collaboration with Economic Development Chair, Councillor Brown. Also in that time frame, councilors were invited to tour the Ray Jordan Senior Center COVID-19 vaccination clinic. So I did visit the clinic with Commissioner Carlton Harris. I want to thank her and Tony Petaway for bringing us through really an excellent operation going on there and at all the local clinics. Really wonderful to see the collaboration between the different AMR ambulance service doing the vaccination there, as well as many local residents who have stepped up to volunteer that have medical backgrounds, several retired physicians, as well as Western New England University School of Pharmacy volunteering there as well. So that was fantastic to see. And then finally, just would end, Mr. President, by really encouraging folks who may be watching at home to share the resources for the local vaccination options that are available, both through the Department of Public Health, as well as with Behavioral Health Network and Curative, who are the city's partners in getting these. The administration has announced today, as many saw, some new vaccination sites, and there are available appointments on the city's website. The largest amount of positive COVID cases are now being found in individuals under 50 years old. And so we know that now that individuals are eligible, 16 plus, to be vaccinated, we really want to encourage folks to utilize those neighborhood sites that everybody fought so hard for and be able to get that out. So please share the city's link with your constituents. And also, if you take a look on my page, you can copy and paste. I've put together all 3 links that people can visit, from the city to BHN, also to the state curative site. So please feel free to use that as a resource as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Letterman. Councillor Ramos.
Mr. President, thank you. The Public Safety Subcommittee of the Springfield City Council met on Monday, the 26th, to discuss one item on the agenda, which was the ordinance to prohibit gas stations from selling gas to illegal dirt bikes. There were several councilors in attendance. Members of the Public Safety Committee, Councilor Hurst and Councilor Whitfield, were present, as well as Councilor Curran, Councilor Gomez, Councilor Allen, and President Williams. And if I missed anyone, my apologies. But it was a good meeting. We had a good conversation with the representative from the Springfield Police Department's Ordinance Division, as well as Attorney Moore, who was very helpful in helping craft this piece of legislation. And there were some concerns by some of our colleagues about how this is working in other municipalities. And so I concluded that we will have a follow-up meeting to hopefully meet with a representative from one of the, from New Haven, Connecticut, which is one of the municipalities in Connecticut that has this on the books, about how this is working there and, you know, some of the challenges that they faced around this piece of legislation. So I'll keep everyone posted on the next meeting. We're going to be meeting sometime over the next 2 weeks to get more information and then hopefully bring it out to the floor shortly thereafter. I also want to put on everyone's radar that I'm planning on having a follow-up meeting very soon from the Public Safety Subcommittee to address the next steps regarding the lawsuit from the Springfield City Council against the administration regarding the police commission. So please keep that on your radar. We're going to be holding that probably over the next two weeks as well.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Ramos, for that report, and all councilors for such a thorough reports on your respective subcommittees. So Madam Clerk, at this time, can you please call the roll on accepting the reports?
On accepting the reports, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh, absent. Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Williams?
Yes, the reports have been accepted. Madam Clerk, can you please call items, if there is no objection, 2 through 4 to accept the minutes?
Item 2 is the minutes from February 22nd, 2021. Item 3 is the minutes from March 29th, 2021. And item 4 is the minutes from April 5th, 2021.
Can you please call the roll to accept?
On accepting the minutes, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh, absent. Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton?
No.
No. Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Williams?
Yes. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item on the agenda?
The next item on the agenda is the March revenue versus expenditure report.
All right, is there anyone present to speak to this item? If so, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mr. President. Patrick Burns, 90 Clement Street, Springfield. Tonight we have the March revenue versus expenditure report. This is the 3-quarter mark of the fiscal year. And there are a few revenue highlights I'd like to point out. The motor vehicle collections in the month of March totaled approximately $5 million. This brought the year-to-date total to $10.3 million, or 97% of our estimated revenue budget. We also received our first payment from the state for the marijuana retail tax. This covered the months of December, January, and February. This payment totaled $31,767. Pursuant to the adopted council order back in January 2019, 33% of these funds were deposited into the Impacted Neighborhood Stabilization Fund. And finally, the city received approximately a $7.1 million Chapter 121A payment from MGM Springfield on March 31st. This payment came in a little earlier this year. Last year, we actually received it on April 1st, so it's boosting up our revenue on a yearly comparison.
All right, thank you, Pat. Are there any questions from the council at this? Again, I will ask, are there any questions from the council at this time? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll to accept the report?
On accepting the report, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh, absent. Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Williams?
Yes, the report has been accepted. All right, councilors, for the petitions, I'm just wondering, is there any objection to taking the petition votes all together? If there is not, we'll have someone speak to them and then take a vote for together as one. That sound good? Have a comment? Councilor Fenton, I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question on a couple of them. So
Okay.
depending on how those questions are answered, I'm fine taking them as one, but
Okay, we'll go by one by one to start. So with that being said, Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item?
The next item on the agenda is a petition from Eversource for West York Street.
All right, is there anyone present to speak to that petition? Not just for the record.
Yes, Hector Velez, 1956 Parker Street, Springfield.
Feel free.
I don't know if there's someone from Eversource, but West York Street is regarding a new pump station on Hall of Fame Ave and West York Street. They're going to install a new pump station there, and they have to supply electric service. And they're going to install a new manhole, a new conduit, a new transformer.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the council for Mr. Velez? Councilor Letterman.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. President. Did we get an answer on whether a representative from Eversource is here?
Mr. Velez, would you happen to know that information if there's an Eversource rep present?
I've been looking here. I don't see any. I see Comcast, Columbia Gas, but I don't see any from Eversource.
So I would say no, Councilor.
And Mr. Velez, so I mean, I got the order here. The order's for an underground conduit. I don't see anything about a pump station. I feel like the pump station would likely more so be affiliated with the gas side of things.
Oh, there's a water pump station. That's a new building. The Eversource is going to install a new conduit from Hall of Fame Ave to the new transformer at the beginning of the lot to supply to that pump station, to supply electricity to that pump station.
Pump station. For the water pump station. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's fine, Mr. President, but I think we should do some outreach to Eversource. They really should have a representative on these meetings for both the electric side and the gas side. So perhaps through the Maintenance and Development Committee, we could do that.
All right, thank you, Councilor Letterman. Councilor Ramos.
Just a quick question. How are the residents notified about this upcoming work? And what sort of distance, how far do we go out in terms of letting people know about the upcoming work?
Mr. Velez?
I just notified the abutters around the area. Not the whole resident of Springfield or community, or just the area that's going to be affected because of the work.
And how are they notified? Is it by mail?
Some by mail. I post to not notice on the public bulletin board, and by the calendar from the city.
Okay, but when you say some by mail, how do you decide which ones to notify by mail?
Well, GIA have like you can choose the abutters very close to that area, and I send the mail, regular mail, to the resident or business.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Ramos. Are there any other questions from the council at this time? Are there any other questions? And what I'll do is I'll take each petition separately, since there seems to be questions for some. So at this time, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on accepting this petition?
On accepting a petition, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kern?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh absent. Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Williams?
Yes, the petition has been accepted. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item?
The next item on the agenda is a petition for Eversource gas for cabinet installations.
Mr. Velez, are you speaking to that item?
Yes. Columbia Gas wants to replace their underground meters to above ground in different locations, different neighborhoods. It's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 13, I think so. And the Board of Public Works recommend to change the cabinet from underground to above ground, except Forest Park. The neighborhood don't want anything out of the ground near the park. And I think so there's someone from Columbia Gas if you have some questions about this one.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Velez. Brian, if you're present, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Yeah, it's Brian Maccarello, 225 Roosevelt Ave, Springfield, work location. So Eversource gas. So yeah, so we're taking it's 16 locations. So we're trying to put above ground telemetry stations that pretty much report what the stations are doing back to our local gas control. It's just another added layer of safety that we're trying to add since everything that's happened. We're just trying to get these kind of up and going. I know I think there's the one issue at Washington Piney Woods, like Hector said, that was along the edge of Forest Park. We'd like to withdraw that location from this petition, but we'd like to still try to get the other ones approved. And it's pretty much a standard traffic cabinet, about 4 foot tall, 2 feet wide, 1.5 foot deep, roughly. They could be painted. They're usually stainless steel, but kind of open to anything. If there's any questions, I can answer.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton.
Are there any plans or drawings for these cabinets, sir?
Yeah, there are. Do you want me to show one, or or I could send some over?
Yeah.
Because I can share my screen on this, right? Hopefully.
I believe so. Brendan, can you please confirm? Why don't you give it a try, Brian?
I'll give it a whirl and see what happens. Let me know. Hopefully you can see a drawing here.
Yes.
And this is pretty much a front view of the station with the door, side view. So this is about 1 foot 7 inches deep, 4 feet tall, and then about 2 feet 6 inches, a little over 2 feet wide.
And these will be, sorry,
Go
these are going to be connected to the gas mains and monitoring the gas mains below?
Yeah, so anywhere we have those regulator stations, so we already have vaults located at all these locations. So you'll probably see kind of a metal door in the ground with some concrete around it. So that these, you can see the conduits come off the bottom, they'd run over to those stations. And then these would either have a cell signal or I think they're all cell signals right now, which would report back to our gas control so that we can monitor more closely exactly what's happening.
Why can't this be done from the existing underground locations?
The cell service just won't work with the below ground structures that we currently have. That's
Well,
the
what-
issue. We can't get the signal out.
I'm very familiar with many of these, actually all these intersections, more familiar with some than others.
Yeah.
They're very highly trafficked areas.
Yep.
What would happen if somebody crashed into one of these cabinets?
So each cabinet is going to have bollards for protection around it. So a 6-inch cement bollard.
Mr. President, I would make a motion that we refer this matter to committee. There are some residents that are very close to some of these intersections. And I think that this is a significant project. It looks like there's north of 25 of these sites across the city. These are going to be significant encumbrances that are in either the tree belt or in the sidewalk area. And I think we need to have some more conversation on this before approving this kind of thing. I make a motion to committee.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. A motion has been made by Councilor Fenton, seconded by Councilor Davila. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on sending this item to committee?
On referring item number 7 to committee, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ramos.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh absent. Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Councilor Williams.
Yes, this matter has been referred to subcommittee. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item on the agenda?
The next item on the agenda is a petition for Eversource at Trafton Road.
Mr. Velez, can I pass that to you this time?
Yes. Well, this petition from Eversource to install a new pole is just to reinforce the one across the street. They're gonna install a new transformer, and the weight, they just want to be sure to be secure. And they're gonna install a new pole on the other side just to reinforce the 16 one.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the council at this time? Councilor Davila.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Hector. Just to be clear, you're saying a pole, but I'm reading on the ground on the agenda.
I'm sorry?
I just want to make sure you're talking about item number 8, right?
Trafton.
Let me see.
Trafton
Yeah,
Road.
Trafton Road.
Number
Yeah.
6317. Right?
Yep. Yeah.
Because the title of this is location for underground conduit, not for a pole.
Petition pole wire location.
Come again?
Maybe the title is wrong, but just a pole. It's just a pole of 35 feet to support the one in front of the other side of the
so
road.
just a one
But I think so the title is.
Okay, that's fine. All right, thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Councilor Davila. Are there any other questions from the council at this time? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you...
Cables or something.
I'm sorry, Mr. Velez?
It's just a pole. It's not something that underground or conduit. It's a pole with the anchor to support the other pole in the other side.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on accepting this petition?
On accepting petition number 8, item number 8, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ramos.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh absent. Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, the petition has been accepted. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item?
The next item on the agenda is a petition for Eversource at Chapin Terrace.
Thank you, Mr. Velez.
This is a petition from Columbia, Eversource, I'm sorry, to replace low pressure gas main to medium pressure on the neighborhood. What neighborhood is this?
Chapin Terrace, Chapin Terrace.
Yeah, Chapin Terrace and from Chestnut Street. I don't know if Brian, you need to add something.
Yeah, I mean, I could just, oh, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I just, Columbia guys doing this in the neighborhood on Springfield, just changing the low pressure to medium pressure. And they are changing from cast iron to PVC pipes around Springfield. And this is one of them.
Brian, would you like to follow up?
Yeah, just, it's Eversource gas, just the name change. And then also just a little more detail about the location. So it's on Marvin Street for the entire length, so Pratt to Chapin, on Chapin Terrace from Chestnut Street up to Jardine, and then on Jardine Street from Chapin Terrace over to Lexington. Pretty much connecting to existing pipes that we've already run newer in the past couple of years, probably 5-8 years ago now. Just kind of continuing that replacement program.
All right, appreciate it.
Oh, one last thing to add, we did run this by Springfield Water Sewer Commission and just got their approval on the line of main, because they do have a very high pressure water main transmission line, I think, that runs up Chapin Terrace that we've tried to stay extremely far away from as much as we could.
All right, thank you, Brian. Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Brian, 2 questions on this. One, this is a great and welcomed improvement to the infrastructure in my district, so thank you. Are there any plans, given the extensive nature of this, running all the way from Marvin up Chapin down Jardine, to repave Chapin as opposed to patching the area that you're digging?
So right now, our restoration plan is whenever we'll run the trench down, we'll come back and do a 10-foot wide mill and grind over that. You're not left with that 2-foot wide, kind of the existing.
I can't really hear him.
Brian, yeah, I'm sorry. For councilors and guests, if you could please mute yourselves if you're not speaking, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Continue.
Yeah, so I just saying, instead of the existing trench, I think you're used to seeing around the city of like a 2-foot wide. We'll actually do that temporary and then come back and we'll go 10-foot wide, which in this case, I mean, most of Chapin, I think one side is pretty much 10-foot wide. So we'd end up redoing that side of Chapin. We wouldn't do both sides, of course, but we kind of end up with a 10-foot wide restoration that we do.
That's great. And then the other question I have is regarding when you expect to do this work. You're muted.
Sorry, I hit my spacebar by accident. So the plan is to start in June, probably late June, maybe early July, and then it's about a two-month project for us to complete.
Okay, Mr. President, I feel like I'm like the utility man here today, but I'm going to ask that we send this one to committee too, and the reason is that Councilor Gomez and I have been coordinating with Bay State Hospital on their Hospital of the Future build out. It's a very exciting development. That construction is about to get underway in the next couple of weeks. And there's going to be a lot of traffic that shifted from the main entrance of Medical Center Drive at the Daily Building on Springfield Street to the Chapin Street entrance. And so if that construction that's being described by Eversource Gas overlays with the crane installation of HVAC units on the roof of the Daily Building, that's going to be a major traffic issue and problem for the hospital. So I take it, Brian, that you haven't coordinated or spoken to the hospital at all about this Hospital of the Future build out, have you?
No, we have not heard of that. No.
Okay, so I'd make a motion to committee, Mr. President, for that one.
All right, thank you, Councilor Fenton. There's a motion on the floor prior to getting a second on that. Councilor Curran, question on the motion?
Not on the motion. I just had a question for the representatives.
Councillor Fenton, would you please just put that on pause to entertain the other
Certainly.
councillors? Thank you. Councillor
Just
Kerr.
thank you, Mr. President. To the representatives, when this work is this done by subcontractors or is this inside the street department with Eversource? I know Eversource just became the new Columbia Gas.
No, it's subcontractors, just like it was in the past.
Yeah, I have some familiarity with this as my father for 40 years worked in the street department for the gas company. So I know about how hard work that work is. But Councillor Fenton did bring up a great point. I think when they moved from the old Bay State Gas Company from the street department to these subcontractors, and they're putting in gas mains along city streets, when they recover the gas mains with the asphalt, it's a lot of times uneven, and a lot of that work is really you get a lot of complaints from residents for traffic going by that when they repatch the street, these subcontractors have really kind of left a patchwork of uneven streets throughout Springfield. Chapin Terrace in particular, that's an ambulance route from Armory Street all the way down to Chestnut Street. All the ambulances would be going down there. So I guess it's really more of a comment to continue to work with Eversource, that we really need to come up with a program or a re-emphasis with DPW and Eversource, that when you're doing these gas lines, that we got to make that the pavement, the street, the asphalt in the street flush, so that when cars or tractor trailers are going by, the residents are not getting these giant basically booms in their house because the street is so uneven. And it's just something I know Eversource is new. It's a new reiteration of the gas company, but I think that's the biggest thing with these street department projects that I'm seeing from the Eversource gas department. And hopefully you can take that under consideration, and certainly with the fact that this is a ambulance route. Again, to follow up with Councilor Fenton's point, I think we really need to have an emphasis on putting the streets back together how they were and making that asphalt flush. And if you could put that on your agenda, I'd certainly appreciate it, and certainly appreciate the work you're doing for the city. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Councilor Curran. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. To Brian, how long does this type of project normally take?
This scope is roughly like a 2-month-long project from start.
About 2 months. Okay, and Councilor Fenton, when is the other project scheduled to start?
In the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, 2 to 3 weeks. Do you know how long that project normally takes or will take, the estimated?
Well, the total build out will take north of 12 months, but the issue with respect to the road is going to be when they have the crane in Springfield Street. The main access to the emergency room and the daily building won't be closed that entire time. So there's a short, I would say like 2 to 3 month window in early summer where traffic is going to be shifted from the main normal entrances on Springfield Street to Chapin Terrace, and that's what I'm worried about. It sounds like Eversource wants to do this work right in that window.
Right in the same time frame, yeah. I agree with that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Letterman.
Thanks very much, Mr. President. I'm glad that we had the circumstances that have led us tonight to realize this conflict. My only statement on it would be, I'm always hesitant to slow down the replacement of this aging infrastructure, given how much progress we've made in the last several years. And so I just want to make sure that, if we don't take it up this evening, it sounds more like a logistical situation that needs to be worked out. I don't know that we necessarily need to have an entire committee meeting on it. It might be more appropriate for Councilor Fenton to work with Eversource and Bay State just to make the arrangements. So perhaps we could just continue it. That way it could appear again. And then when we're ready to vote on it, we could just vote on it, as opposed to necessarily having to have a recommendation back from committee.
That's a better idea. I would make a motion to continue until the next meeting.
All right, thank you, Councilor. There's a motion on the floor to continue this item. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Councilor Edwards, I believe that was. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on continuing?
On continuing item number 9, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Avila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, this item has been continued. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item?
Counselor Williams, can I just ask who seconded the motion to continue again, please?
Sure, that was Counselor Edwards.
Counselor Edwards, thank you.
You're welcome.
The next item on the agenda is a petition for Comcast at Springfield Street.
All right, is there anyone present to speak to this item?
I think this, yes, there's someone there.
Yes, good evening. This is Joe Schaefer. I work for Comcast.
Please state your address.
The address of the job is at 232 Springfield Street.
Thank you.
There's some easement pole line between Shepherd Street and Springfield Street where the poles cannot be replaced. And we need to put in some new underground from an existing vault that is in front of 246 Springfield Street. And I was going to go in the sidewalk pocket bore each direction to install new vaults and new services to each one of those homes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Are there any questions from the council at this time? Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the representative from Comcast, it seems like all these utility things are in my district tonight. Did these requests come from the residents for expanded Comcast service?
That did call and have issues with some low lines in the back. And Comcast rents a space from the poles from Verizon, and Verizon cannot replace the poles and will not install anchors. This is the easiest fix without getting easements from each of those homes. And then eventually those poles can probably all come down and they won't be in the people's backyards with lines aerially to their house.
So you're describing that because Springfield Street is all underground utilities. So you're saying that for Shepherd Street, there's some above ground utilities that run through the backyards of the people whose houses connect in Springfield Street and Shepherd Street?
That is correct. There's a vault right now in front of 244 Springfield Street that goes along that person's property to 3 telephone poles in the back that feed a couple of the homes on Shepherd. And it feeds 232, 244, 256, 264, and 270 Springfield Street.
And so what are you gonna do with those poles?
Those are Verizon poles. So I have no idea what Verizon's gonna do with the poles, but Comcast can't be on them any longer.
So you're taking your lines off of the poles and then you're gonna connect services for those homes that are gonna lose service as a result of removing your infrastructure from those poles, and you're connecting them underground to your main on Springfield Street.
Correct.
And the reason that this has to happen, why does this have to happen? That you have to cut Springfield Street for all this?
No, we have an existing vault in the sidewalk now in front of 244 Springfield Street.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 132 feet west. I'm gonna pocket bore the sidewalk there, take out a pad and shoot a tool underneath the sidewalk to a new vault in front of 232 Springfield Street. And then I'm gonna go the other direction, 194 feet east towards Chicopee on Springfield Street and put a vault in front of 264 and 270 Springfield Street, and then run new underground services to their home.
And Hector, have any of these neighbors been notified about this petition?
The request of 242 or 2. Let me see, what is the name of the number of the house?
232 Springfield Street.
Okay. I just notified the one that is supposed to be the service, but the Comcast is going to do all of the four are close to that house. Let me see, what is that one? 264. Unnotified 264 Springfield Street. At first, I think so the request is to 264, but Comcast is gonna do up the other 4 houses. That's correct, Sheffer.
Yes, so all those homes get services from the back pole line now, which Comcast doesn't have the permission to be on those poles. Even though it's been that way for a while.
And it's on the sidewalk.
Right, yeah, our existing
The
stuff.
vault is on the sidewalk.
And-
Mr. Velez, yes.
Yes.
And just, I'm only gonna ask one more question, then I won't take anybody more else's time on this. But after you install the vault in front of the home, don't you need to shoot the line under their yard into the
Correct,
basement?
yeah, all this, anything that we're gonna be doing to their home, obviously, we're going to meet with each homeowner and get their blessing before we do anything. We can't just show up on private property and do the work. It's gonna be a benefit to them because their line will be underground. There'll be no issues with a tree branch ever falling in the back and they lose service.
That's true, but they may also have sprinkler lines or other things in the front that could. So I think that I would like to continue this item too, Mr. President. I would make a motion that we continue so I think I know all of these neighbors.
Second.
One of them just said it. Yeah, so I would make a motion to continue.
All right, there has been a motion on the floor to continue this item, seconded by Councillor Davila. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll to continue?
On continuing item number 10, Councillor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Walsh absent. Councillor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Williams?
Yes, this item has been continued. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item?
The next item on the agenda is for petition for Comcast at Sherman Street.
Would Mr. Where's he? Sorry, the same gentleman, would he like to speak to this Comcast item as well?
Yes, this is Joe.
Thank you.
We are getting service to the Mcdonald at 782 State Street. Comcast has an existing vault almost at the corner of State and Sherman Street. I'm going to go across Sherman Street in approximately 40 feet up the sidewalk, set a new vault in the sidewalk, and then continue with the other utilities to the back of 782 State Street.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Are there any questions from the council at this time? Councillor Letterman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Joe, thanks for joining us. Tell me the impact to the sidewalk of this. This area is a little, you have the apartment building there, and then it's mostly open space, and the across the street, then you have the plaza where the McDonald's is located. So a little different from Springfield Street where you have sort of house. But what's the impact to the sidewalk area where you're putting the vault in?
So basically, the sidewalk that pad I've picked is kind of broken up and cracked. So when I'm done with it, it'll have a vault and it'll be a new concrete pad around it. Some of the sidewalk there isn't in the best of shape. That entire section, it's not perfect. But whatever pad we take out will be put back to the city specs for sidewalk repairs.
So where will the actual vault be relative to the McDonald's?
It will be adjacent to the back. I guess it would be the back left corner towards Sherman Street, towards the little strip mall that's back there. It'll be on the back side of the building, but in the sidewalk, so we can go to the back of the building with all the other utilities.
And then what necessitates this?
McDonald's is looking for high-speed internet.
So this is fiber. They want fiber?
They're just getting coax at this point.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
They're looking
Thank
for
you.
those.
Thank you, Councillor Letterman. Are there any other questions at this time? Any other questions? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll to accept this petition?
On accepting the petition, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, this petition has been accepted. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item on the agenda?
The next item on the agenda is a grant for a COVID-19 vaccination capacity and confidence.
All right, is there anyone present to speak to this grant? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Helen Carlton Harris. My address is 47 Overlook Drive, Springfield, Massachusetts. This is a grant for $296,000 from the State Department of Public Health. The three big buckets that this grant will be used for: one is staffing for our COVID-19 vaccination sites, and currently, as a city, we operate 6 sites. Marketing, we know that the 18 to 35-year-old age group is a group that we need to pay attention to. And so we will be doing specific outreach to that age group, along with the other individuals in our city who need to have credible educational materials. The third one is outreach. We need individuals who are and from the community to be in the community, continuing to work with our community-based organizations to door knock, give information about vaccine prevention, intervention, and mitigation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any questions at this time from the council? And I'll ask, are there any questions? Seeing none, can I entertain a motion at this time to accept the grant?
So moved.
All right. Motion made by Councillor Letterman, seconded by Councillor, was that Davila?
Gomez.
Gomez, I'm sorry, Councillor. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on accepting this grant?
On accepting the grant, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Of bad passenger behavior.
Yes.
But so far this year, that number
Yes. Counselor Brown?
to 1300.
Sorry,
Yes.
sorry, Madam Clerk.
It's political intimidation.
Can someone please? Thank you.
Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, this grant has been accepted. Madam Clerk, can you please call, actually, can you please call items 13 to 15 if there's no objection, and take these items together?
Without objection.
Item 13 is for FY21 firefighter safety equipment grant. Item number 14 is an increase in funding for the FY21 Shannon CSI grant. And item number 15 is FY21 state aid to public library increase.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can you please call the roll on accepting items 12 through 15? 13 to 15, I'm sorry.
On accepting items 13 through 15, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Abstain.
Abstain. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, the grants have been accepted. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item?
Thank you,
The next
Councilor.
item on the agenda is an order approving amendments to SPA agreements.
All right, I believe this item was sent to committee the last time it was before us. Will anyone be making a motion for this to come out at this time? Madam Clerk, can you provide an update on where we are with this?
It was referred to committee on April 5th.
Will anyone else like to take this out of committee at this time? All right, seeing no response, I believe we can proceed, Madam Clerk.
Item 16 will remain in committee. Item 17 is an order for transfer at East Side Larchmont Street.
All right, is there anyone present to speak to this item?
Yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes, please state your name and address for the record.
Kevin Chafee, I work for the Springfield Planning Department. The addresses of the parcels in question are Larchmont Street, Lois Street, Newfield Street, and 3 on Winterset Drive. These parcels were identified in our tax title committee. They've been acquired by the city through the tax title process. They have little to more likely no potential for redevelopment. They've gone to auction and there's been no interest. Some have wetlands on site, some are landlocked, and some are just where they are, there's no potential for redevelopment. So they, in their current state, are undeveloped forested parcels, and they are adjacent to existing city-owned conservation land. So our proposal is to transfer title to the Springfield Conservation Commission to add, albeit a modest amount of space, but add to existing locations. So if there's any questions from the council, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you, Kevin. At this time, are there any questions from the council? And are there any questions from the council at this time?
I have one question.
Councilor
Mr.
Allen.
President. Thank you. Was there a private ownership before these were transferred to the city? Is that the, you know, is there anybody?
Yeah, they were privately owned. We see a lot. It's a historic issue. If you're familiar with the paper streets in the city, that there were ideas for development. So they laid out all the parcels, they laid out the streets, but you know, people own these properties when, you know, they're just really, some of them are out in the middle of the woods. Like you'd have to build a, you know, quarter-mile road to get to it just to build one house based on individual ownership. So a lot of these areas, because of their, they weren't developable because of wetland issues. A lot of times, things like that, they never got developed. So they've just kind of remained on the tax roll. People stop paying taxes on it, and then it goes through tax title. So they were privately owned. The city now owns them, and we've tried through several cycles to dispose of them through the auction process, and the economics don't work for them. And from my perspective, they're open space next to existing open space, so they have the value of adding to our portfolio.
That's great. Are these particular 6, are they all around the city, or are they all near each other?
Oh no, these are in different areas of the city.
Different areas.
I can't say off the top of my head. I re-looked at them today, but Winterset Drive, they do have frontage, but they're actually the area historically drains to these three lots. So removing that would cause issues with drainage in the neighborhood. So those are they're not developable. Newfield Road, I believe, might be the one in the middle of the woods. Larchmont Street, you'd have to extend, you'd have to basically you'd have to build a road to get to the site to build one house, which the economics don't work for that. And it's exists near an existing Concom parcel, and there's wetlands in streams. So it actually be a really good parcel just to remain as open space for passive recreation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Are there any other questions at this time from the council? All right, seeing none, can I please entertain a motion to pass the item?
So be it, Gomez.
All right, motion made by Councillor Gomez, second.
Second.
And seconded by Councillor Edwards. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
On approving the order, Councillor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Walsh absent. Councillor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Williams?
Yes, the order is approved. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item?
The next item on the agenda is an order for Rule 52 request opinion from Finance Department.
All right, is there anyone present to speak to this item?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the floor. Thank you, Mr. President. So this particular order was co-sponsored by myself and Councillor Whitfield. This order specifically is to invoke our authority under Rule 52 of the Rules of the Springfield City Council to obtain a written opinion and response from the City of Springfield's Finance Department within 7 days, as stated under the rules, to get really an accounting of the amount of city funds that have been expended thus far on the current civil litigation as related to the police commission. In addition, we would like to see a breakdown of any legal fees as well as any staff used during this process to hopefully get an idea as to how much money has been spent in that particular area from a resource standpoint. And then finally, we'd like to get an accounting of how much money is going to be allocated on appeal. We certainly know emotions are running high, and I'm sure folks were pretty disappointed by the ruling, but at the same time, it doesn't give folks a blank check to spend taxpayer money. At the very least, we ought to be transparent in terms of the amount of money that we've spent thus far, and then on top of that, the amount of money that we plan on spending. And what I would argue would be a frivolous appeal. However, I'd imagine that there probably is room for differing opinions. I think at the very least, we need to get an idea as to exactly what it is that we're getting into, which is what this order speaks to. So with that said, Mr. President, I'll certainly entertain any questions. I appreciate Councilor Whitfield, the finance chair, for being a hawk as well, and certainly wanting to see these monies or see what money has been spent thus far. And I think we owe it to the taxpayers to do so.
All right, thank you, Councillor Hurst. Whitfield, I know you are also named on this. Would you like an opportunity to speak, or we can go right into questions?
Questions are fine. I think Councillor Hurst said it all. We're getting questions from the taxpayers and we owe them an answer, and that's what we seek to get. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Whitfield. Are there any questions from the council? Councillor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I support this and support the litigation. My only question is about the part of the request that asks that the city assign values or perform some type of inventory with respect to people's time. I don't think that that's the intent really of Rule 52. And so I don't know how we would even go about doing that. Even in the law department, I mean, I don't think they keep time records like that. So I just don't want to really set a precedent that we can ask department heads how much time they're spending on something and then calculate a cost with that. I mean, I I think it's perfectly appropriate to ask about the outside costs of the appeal. But I'm just a little uncomfortable about asking the administration to calculate how much time individual city agents have spent on a task and then assigning a value to that. It seems like a somewhat arbitrary, somewhat arbitrary measure.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Are there any other questions at this time or comment? Councilor Letterman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I plan to support the motion for the order. I just want to point out for the record, though, also, and so, we all know this, but just so it's clear that the attorneys representing the city council have been and continue to work on a pro bono and volunteer capacity. So I just want to make sure folks are clear that the city council, in bringing this lawsuit earlier in the year to make sure our ordinances are enforced, did so very gratefully with the support of two excellent and pro bono attorneys, Attorney Tom Lesser and Michael Elliott.
Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too support the spirit of this order. I just have a quick question, because I think we need to put everything to perspective for the residents. Maybe either one from the finance can tell me this now. I do believe we have a line item for litigation. What is currently allocated in the line item? The amount?
So I'll have to get the information for how much is allocated in the line item. There is a line item for legal services and professional services within the law department, and there's still line items for similar services throughout the budget. So I'll ask.
TJ, I'm sorry, there seems to be a lot of background noise. I really couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
So there's line items within the law department's budget that for legal services and for professional services, depending on the services they're requiring. There's also line items in other departments or throughout the organization that would potentially cover different costs. So it's just a matter of asking Melanie and Lindsay to run a report to see how much has been allocated. And then if there's been any transfers in as it relates to city council appropriations, not necessarily for this issue, but just for
in general,
services, professional services.
Right. Melanie, is that something you could do?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm muting. Yes, that is something that I can certainly pull the report for you, Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, TJ.
All right, thank you, Councilor Davila. Are there any other questions at this time or comments? I'll again ask, are there any other questions or comments at this time? All right.
Sorry.
Councilor Hurst.
If I could just highlight, I just want to appreciate TJ. I know he said this was one of the first times that he's seen this request come before the finance department. And so he said he was certainly more than willing to make sure that he gets the report back to us within the 7-day time frame. And to Councilor Fenton's point, I think you raised certainly a valid concern. My thought process around it is that we probably shouldn't be spending any of our own resources on this particular litigation from a personnel standpoint. It seems to me that that would be a conflict of interest. If so, they ought to be extremely nominal. So I'd love to see what it is that they come up with, and I'll certainly defer to the finance department to get us what it is that they can and to quantify what it is that they can.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Are there any other questions or comments? Councilor Fenton.
Just in terms of the like accounting of times, municipal time spent, how do you intend to do that, TJ? What will you, are you going to say like this person spent roughly this amount of hours and their hourly rate is roughly X?
So a question I asked in the finance subcommittee was exactly that is, okay, if we're looking at some of this, who do I direct follow-up questions to as we start digging into it? I do not think there'll be much, if any, time for staff time related to this because it has been referred to outside counsel. I mean, the staff time would, as I mentioned, would be council time and executive session discussing it. Staff time would be paying the invoices as they come in from the outside counsel. They'd be de minimis at best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton and TJ. Are there any other questions at this time? All right, seeing none, I will now entertain a motion to approve the order.
I make a motion to approve the order.
Motion made by Councilor Woodfield, second.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Fenton, that was? All right. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on approving the order?
On approving the order, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Councilor Davila?
Sorry. Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, the order is approved. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item on the agenda?
The next item on the agenda is an ordinance amendment of Chapter 73, Section 40, paid legal holidays.
All right, this ordinance is on for first step. Is there anyone present to speak to this item?
Yes, I can speak to the item. Mr.
Councilor Whitfield?
Thank you very much. So I just want to first thank Attorney Moore for working so hard and diligently all the time with requests that come to him. He is so professional and just on time. So Attorney Moore, I first wanted to say thank you for that. As we know, the state has approved Juneteenth as a legal holiday. And with that, I think the city should also adopt it because we know that 1776, the 4th of July, was an Independence Day for all. This country was built on the back of chattel slaves, on the back of chattel slaves. That is African and African-American people. We built this country. And to say Independence Day is the 4th of July, 1776, isn't as accurate as it should be, although we gained independence of 13 colonies from the British. There was still slavery. We were still being whipped, beaten, hung, killed, torn apart from our families. And today, some of that is still happening. And so I think that it will benefit the city of Springfield to recognize Juneteenth as a holiday in the city with pay. And I don't know if Attorney Moore, if we got to that point yet, that we're requesting pay, but I think I did send a request to Lindsay and Melanie to find out how much it would cost for one day for city employees, one extra paid holiday in the year. I don't know if you guys got that information because I didn't get a response back to what that cost would be, but if you could please get that. And Attorney Moore, I also wanted to ask, because on the state level, it does say that Juneteenth would recognize Monday as the holiday if the holiday falls on a Sunday, but no mention of Saturday. And I want to make sure that our ordinance says that if the holiday falls on a Saturday, Friday will be recognized as the legal holiday. And so do you have any information there? Melanie first, if we got any costs, and then Attorney Moore, if you could answer the second question.
Melanie, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Mr. President, I'll take the question.
Oh, I'm okay.
I'm sorry.
No problem. TJ Plant, CAFO, 42 Garfield Street, Springfield, Mass. Council, we're still working on getting the exact number of what it would cost for one extra holiday. We're just wanting to get some clarity from the payroll department on how they treat the 24/7 shifts of the police and fire department, so we get an accurate number. That should be forthcoming later this week. Second thing is, I'll let Attorney Moore answer the question on having it fall on Friday if it's a Saturday in terms of legally. And then the third thing is, I just want to make sure that the city council is aware that after this becomes law and the ordinance is passed, third step, we still need to make sure we get the agreement from all the collective bargaining agreements to give away a benefit. Obviously, we don't anticipate that to be an issue, but we want to make sure that once it becomes law, we will then go to the unions with a tentative agreement or memorandum of understanding saying that this is something that we will recognize on certain days.
Thank you. Thank you, TJ. I do believe that something is written in the ordinance as it stands about the police and fire department, maybe not being included, but I'll let Attorney Moore speak to that because when I read it, it did speak to the police and fire department specifically. But Attorney Moore, can you?
Yeah, before Attorney Moore answers, it will still be recognized by the police and fire department. That's why we're taking a little longer to calculate, because it's going to be a slightly different way we approach it, like we do every other holiday that they work on. So once we get full clarity, we will report back to the full council.
Well, I think there's Black police and firemen, and I think they deserve it too. And so let's do what we got to do to make it happen.
I didn't suggest otherwise. I agree with you.
No, okay, I understand.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Attorney Moore, did you want to provide any comments?
Sure. One thing to start off, there is a typographical issue with the proposed amended ordinance. That is my fault. I miscounted. So it says 11 holidays. It really should say 12. So I did a double count as usual after it was submitted. So that is my apologies to the body. But we should probably amend that officially before we do a vote. I really should say 12 instead of 11 because we've added this holiday. So I think what the CAFO said was correct. The ordinance does speak to that it does not apply to certain groups of employees. And I think Councilor Whitfield is accurate that it does discuss the fire and police departments. And so, you know, those groups are going to be, it's going to be dependent on collective bargaining as, again, the CAFO reference. So I have full faith that that will all get resolved in that process as well. The current holiday, as Councilor Whitfield accurately said, is recognized at the state level through an order by the governor. This year, it will fall on a Saturday. So it really is up to the cities to decide what they want to do for the observation, if they're going to do a Friday observation. My, inquiries to the Human Resources Department are still outstanding as to what sort of the intention is to do for this upcoming year, because some of these bargain for contracts are probably going to be unresolved by the time we get there. So I'm not sure exactly how it's going to be handled for this coming year. We could, we could take steps to try to put into our ordinance for holiday that we're going to have observations done Saturday, holidays done on a Friday. You probably want to take a look at the fiscal impact on that because there's a couple holidays that we're talking about. It's going to be, the floaters like Christmas or Independence Day. Juneteenth would be on the list of ones that could appear on a Saturday. So you'd have to sort of take a look at the analysis of that because it'd be slightly different than what we're proposing now, which would line it up with if it's on a Sunday, it gets observed on the Monday, but otherwise it's observed the day of the week and Saturday would be the Saturday.
Mr. President, if I may comment.
Thank you, Attorney Moore.
Attorney Moore or
TJ, yeah.
Sorry. So it is my understanding and it's the intention that if this ordinance passes as quickly as we can get it passed, that we will then move to the automatically be attributed to non-bargaining staff, and then we'll move immediately to getting agreement with all of our collective bargaining unions in order to recognize it on the Friday prior to.
Yes.
So we're definitely committed to moving as quickly as we can on this.
Okay, and I'll just remind councilors and guests that this is just on for first step, so there'll be an opportunity in subcommittee if need be. Councilor Allen.
And before I say yes, TJ, I'm sorry, Mr. President, I would like the full analysis. I don't want to just jump out there and say yes and the impact be extremely negative. And, I would like to know the full analysis, but if the full analysis, if it can be done and it's not going to hurt the city or the finance team, I would say that, yes, we will move as swiftly as possible, but I don't want to blindly jump out there and say yes like that.
No, I appreciate that. You will have a full memo from me to the city council explaining all the costs and all the assumptions that will go into it.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Mr. President. That was up, put my hand up because I noticed that arithmetic error, but Councilor Moore already fixed it, so I'm all set.
All right, thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Hurst.
First of all, I want to thank Councilor Whitfield for amending this order to include Juneteenth Day. I think it's certainly an an important day, and it really should be an important day for all of us. I just want to highlight that I don't think that that the cost with respect to it being a paid holiday should matter much. I think in terms of celebrating it on Friday or observing it on a Friday when it falls on a Saturday, it would seem to me that we would look at all of the holidays that are rotating. And if we're looking to do Juneteenth and have that observed on a Friday, which I think we should do, I think Holyoke did it, so I don't see any reason why we can't. It would seem to me that we also ought to celebrate the 4th of July when it falls on a Saturday, on Friday also. But in terms of giving folks a paid day off, to me, that seems to be a no-brainer. And when it falls on any of the other days except for Saturday, we should be paying folks and we should give folks a day off. And certainly I appreciate the work of Councillor Whitfield, as well as folks at the state level for really pressing to get this holiday recognized. And I think we just need to do our part, and money should not be involved as to whether we give folks a free day off, with the exception of when it falls on Saturday. I can certainly understand the cost analysis of that in terms of observing this holiday on Friday. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councillor Hurst. Councillor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is terrific. I wanted to point out a couple of things. I just sent it to you, Councillor Hurst and Whitfield and Attorney Moore, the Secretary of State's Massachusetts Guide for Legal Holidays. And it says that all holidays falling on a Sunday must be observed on a Monday under state law. And then it further states that Saturday holidays have to be observed on a Saturday. So that's number one. And then number two, there's a representation in here from Secretary Galvin that says for all the above listed holidays, state, county, and municipal offices are closed under state law. And one of the holidays listed is Juneteenth. So one thing that I'd like to know before we finalize this is that reads to me that everybody's going to have to be closed, and it's not really an elective thing. And so I'm very supportive of it. But I think that before we take final step, we take maybe first step tonight, and before we take final step, we can get that ironed out a little bit further, because that guidance from the Secretary of State I just sent seems to indicate that all 351 cities and towns are going to be celebrating it as prescribed under that state law.
Thank you, Councillor Fenton. Are there any other questions or comments from the council at this time? Councillor Whitfield.
Thank you, Councillor Fenton, for pointing that out. I did also see that, but I'm no lawyer like you and Attorney Moore and Councillor Hurst, so I don't pretend to act like I understand what, the minutia behind it all is. But I really appreciate you looking that up right now and saying that. I just have one question. If the 4th of July falls on a Saturday, is Friday taken off currently on the city level?
TJ, do you have a response, or someone from the city?
I actually don't have the answer right now.
I believe we used to take that off. I'm pretty sure.
I would say I believe so, but let me look into it before I answer definitively.
Because if so, I would like Juneteenth to follow the same rules and laws as Independence Day, because it wasn't Independence Day for all, and it wasn't Independence Day for those who were beaten and bruised and torn and ripped apart from their families. It was an Independence Day for us. And so I would like it to follow the same rule as 4th of July, 1776. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Whitfield. I know that at some point an amendment had been mentioned. Would anyone like to put that in the form of a motion at this time?
Yes, I can make the amendment. Should I read the whole paragraph, Attorney Moore, Mr. President, or just that section?
If you read just the sentence, I think that would be enough. Yeah.
I think the whole thing is the sentence.
Oh, geez. Just read the line. Just read the line.
Just read the line. Okay, I'm gonna start at the comma. Shall be entitled to a holiday with pay on each of the 12 legal holidays enumerated in this section. is instead of 11. I'll make that motion.
Councilor Whitfield has made the motion for the correction in the number of holidays, federal holidays. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
All right, seconded by Councilor Hurst. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on accepting the amendment?
On accepting the amendment, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Avila?
Councilor Davila?
Yes.
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 Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, the amendment has been accepted. Are there any other questions from the council at this time? Any other questions? All right, seeing none, I will now entertain a motion to pass first step on this ordinance.
I make a motion.
Motion made by Councilor Whitfield to pass first step. Second?
Second.
I'm seconded by Councilor Hurst. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on passing first step?
On passing first step, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
My apologies, Madam Clerk, I lost connection. What's the item on?
No problem. It's item number 19 for taking first step.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, the ordinance has passed first step and will be referred to the General Government Subcommittee or subcommittee that Councilor Whitfield proposes. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item on the agenda?
The next item on the agenda is a resolution for Officer Ruben Barrero.
Is there anyone present to speak to this item?
Yeah, Mr. President, I would like to continue this. We have not been able to set a day and time with Officer Rivero, and I would like to continue it until further notice.
All right, thank you, Councilor Davila. Would you like to put that in form of a motion, Councilor?
I do, yes. I would like to make a motion to continue item 20 until further notice.
All right, thank you. Second?
Second.
Second by Gomez. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on continuing this item?
Can I just ask Counselor Davila, would you
Yes,
like it
ma'am.
continued until our next meeting, May 10th, or would you like to just let me know when you want it back on?
I will let you know when it's back on.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. On the motion to continue, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, this item has been continued. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item?
The next item on the agenda is the Gun Block Local Historic District. It's on for second and third step.
All right, is there anyone present to speak to this tonight?
Mr. President, I don't know if it's appropriate. My name is Nick Ventralakis. I'm chairman of the Board of Developed Springfield, and
Can you just state your address, Mr. Fincherlakis, please?
Sure. Develop Springfield, 1331 Main Street in Springfield, and here on behalf of the organization, and would greatly appreciate your support.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the council at this time? And I'll ask, are there any questions from the council at this time? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to pass second and third step.
So moved.
All right. Motion made by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Letterman. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on passing this item?
I'm sorry, which counselor seconded?
That was Councillor Letterman.
Counselor Letterman. Thank you.
Mhm.
On taking second and third step. Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, the ordinance is passed second and third step. I also entertain a motion at this time to revoke 22C by motion to take these items up in one step.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, motion made by Councillor Letterman, seconded.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Allen. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on invoking 22C?
On invoking Rule 22C, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Can you please call the next item on the agenda?
The next item on the agenda is amending Chapter 67 by adding new Article 18. It's regarding the Youth Poet Laureate, and it's on for second and third step.
All right, thank you. Is there any present to speak to this at this time?
Yes, Mr. President.
All right, Councillor Letterman.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. As the clerk said, this item is now on for second and third step. We had passed the first step at the last meeting. And as discussed at that time and in the General Government Committee with Councillor Edwards and the committee members, this would establish a Youth Poet Laureate position in the city of Springfield, an honorary position to be held by a young person no more than 21 years of age at the time of appointment. They would have the same rights and responsibilities as the Poet Laureate. And I want to thank the current Poet Laureate, Magdalena Gomez, for approaching me about this matter. Magdalena has a long history of working with young people in this city and helping them find their voice through the arts. And I believe we all here know that our youth have a lot to say. And this ordinance will make sure that their voices are raised up in our city and preserved for time to come. So I hope we can see passage of the ordinance this evening. And I've been speaking with Magdalena. She has many great ideas about how to involve the Youth Poet Laureate in the future, as well as to bring the Poet Laureate position into a more prominent light in the city. And I know we would love to have as many councilors as possible involved in those efforts.
Thank you, Councillor Letterman. Are there any other questions from the council at this time? Any other questions from the council? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion at this point to pass the ordinance for second and third step.
So be it. Gomez.
Second.
Motion made by Councillor Gomez and seconded by Councillor Whitfield. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
On taking second and third step of the ordinance, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, the ordinance has passed second and third step. I will entertain a motion to invoke 22C to pass this item in one step.
So moved.
Motion made by Counselor Allen, seconded by, sorry, who was that seconded by?
That was me.
All right, seconded by Counselor Letterman. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
On invoking Rule 22C, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Can you please call the next item?
The next item on the agenda is amending Chapter 82 by adding new Article 6. It's regarding wage theft.
All right, is there anyone present to speak to this?
Yes, Mr. President.
Counselor Letterman?
Thank you, Mr. President. As Councilor Edwards, Chairman Edwards alluded earlier, we have one amendment we're working on in collaboration with the procurement office, just to make sure that when this is put into place, it will fall in line with their current forms that are submitted, as well as some other technical pieces. But we do anticipate having the ordinance ready for our next regular meeting. At this time, we'd like to keep it in committee.
All right, a motion has been made, I believe, to keep this in committee. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
For the item to remain in committee, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams?
Yes, the item will remain in committee. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item?
The next item on the agenda is a special act for city council ward vacancies, and it was continued from April 5th. It was sent to committee.
All right, is there anyone present to speak to this? I wonder if we will be taking this out of committee today.
Yes, Mr. President. I do believe during the report, I believe Councilor Fenton, if I'm not mistaken, Councilor Edwards did intend to bring it to committee. I will defer to him. If not, I will be more than happy to make the motion.
Okay, Councilor Edwards?
It's my recommendation after discussing this issue with both the attorney for the school committee and Mr. Collins, also of the school committee, that the city council should move forward with passing first step and start the legal review to get this started and move. And Attorney Moore, I'm sure, will have a chance to discuss it as well. Councilor Davila has been the most recent sponsor of it. So if the motion should be made, it probably should come from him, and I'd be happy to second the motion.
All right, thank you, Councilor Edwards. Councilor Davila?
Yes, sir. I just have a quick point of clarification. This particular this is an act, so I do believe it only needs one reading, only one vote for today. And Councilor Edwards is correct. The most recent sponsor, Councilor Fento, who's also co-sponsoring this act, is a little different in which it only addresses ward seats. That's the difference between this and others that I presented before. I still do. It is my hope and expectation that the wise wisdom of this council will pass today. But I'll make a motion that this item be brought to committee for consideration.
I'll second that motion.
Great. Madam Clerk, can you please, motion made by Councilor Davila, seconded by Councilor Edwards. Can you please call the roll on taking this out of committee today?
On taking the item out of committee, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ramos?
Abstain, Madam Clerk.
Abstained? Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh, absent? Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Williams?
Yes, the item has been brought out of committee. Is there anyone here present to speak to the act prior to taking questions?
Thank you, Mr. President. If I may, then I will, if Councilor Fenton wishes to give more clarification thereafter. Just to give a quick overview again of this special act. This special act only addresses ward seats. Some of the highlight is that after 15 days of a vacancy occurring, the city clerk shall notify the city council and the board of election and the commissioner and the election commissioner that there is a vacancy in the city council. If there is 210 days or more, a special election will be set. If there is 210 days or less, the seat will remain vacant until the next regular election. If there are no more than 2 or more for the special election, the special primary will be canceled and we move on to the regular special election itself. And the other highlight is that this act will be effective immediately upon passage by the State House. I don't know if Councilman Fenton would like to add anything more specific, but those are some of the major highlights on this particular act. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Fenton, would you like to?
No, I think that covers it. I think let's get it passed.
All right, Councilor Whitfield, I'll turn it over for any questions or comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Fenton and Councilor Davila for doing this. I just have a question because I didn't realize it was only for the ward seats, and I just wanted some explanation there, like why it wouldn't be for at large.
I'm happy to, if that's all right with you, Mr. President.
Councilor Fenton.
Councilor, the reason for structuring it that way is the way in which, as you know, councilors are elected to ward seats versus at large is very different. And the ward seats are a head-to-head matchup, whereas the at-large seats are a choice of up to 5 candidates. And so in the context where you're not, it's not ranked choice voting, but it's as close as we get to it in the city of Springfield. You're choosing 5 different candidates, and the person with the 6th that comes in 6th place, if anybody in the top 5 doesn't complete their term or steps down early, it makes sense for the person finishing in 6th to step into that role. Voters, when they go into the ballot box, are not just voting for one counselor at large. They have the ability to vote for up to 5. And so they come into that election knowing that they have multiple choices and there's multiple candidates to fill that seat. It's very different for a ward seat where it's head to head and it's only one available seat. In a lot of ways, some people may be casting a vote for one person, but it's really a vote against another person. Somebody that comes into the ballot box and and votes for somebody who runs against me may not necessarily be overwhelmingly supportive of the person that they're voting for. They may just not like some of the things that I've done in particular. And so when you have that context of a head-to-head race, it creates an unfair situation where a person who's coming in second place that didn't have the same type of at-large dynamic with the 5 different votes being allocated could succeed to the position if somebody were to step down. And in fact, that is what our current law says, that a second place finisher would succeed to it. So I know that wasn't as eloquent as I'd like to explain it, but I'm not aware of really any state or federal positions where that's the case. It's always a special election. And I think that makes logical sense, although I'm not sure I did a great job of articulating why that is.
I think you did well. I was just thinking, like, if there's a opponent, right? So I can understand if there's no opponents, like say if you had no one running against you, like Councilor Gomez had no one. So if there was someone that ran against Councilor Gomez, would that person have went to the seat, or it would have still been the same situation?
Well, the law says that if Councilor Gomez had someone who was certified and on the ballot, then that person would have succeeded to the seat. As we learned with the passing of Councilor Twiggs, that transition isn't always very clean. Councilor Twiggs in his last election had an opponent, and he passed away in the middle of his term. And according to the charter, that person, I mean, I never got into it with the law department or with the election commission, but that person was supposed to be seated to fill his position. I think that there was a certain level of apprehension around that because it didn't make a whole lot of sense to have the person who lost succeed to the seat. The only time that I can recall it ever happening where a person who lost succeeded to the seat was when Councilor Keith Wright resigned and Councilor Ahmad Rivera was sworn in.
What happened with me?
Well, that wasn't Ward, right?
Oh,
I mean,
right.
that would remain. The at-large system would remain. The only time I can ever think of it happening in a Ward seat was with Councilor Wright and Councilor Rivera.
Okay, so no, because I'm just confused, because what if there's a year where there is only 5 of us? And then this situation happens, someone resigns, someone passes away, someone, then where would that be left? Would it be for the council to determine again because it's at large? Because right now, as far as I know, only like 6 or 7 people pull papers, but all of us haven't even got our numbers in yet. I don't know if I can say this, but I'm just, I don't know. But I'm just like, what if there are only 5 that run for at large and something like this happens?
I had not contemplated that question. What would happen if there was only 5 people on the ballot at large? That's never happened in recent history, where there would only be 5 candidates for the at-large seats. But I suppose it would make sense that with this proposal, that would remain unchanged. So if there were 5, only 5 certified candidates on the ballot for at-large, and then one of them stepped down after being in their term, the council would pick the replacement, because this proposal does not address that. It doesn't.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton and Councilor Whitfield.
Wait, Mr. President, would you consider it? Would
Me?
you consider it amending it to say that, to include at large? Because I don't really understand what including at large does. I mean, I don't understand why it would hurt to include it, I should say.
Councilor, but Councilor Fenton, I'll allow you time, yeah.
Thank you. The reason that I don't want to include at large in the system is because, to me, it makes sense if a person who finishes 6th succeeds to the position of someone who was in the top 5 and resigns, in a way that it does not for the ward seats. Admittedly, I had not considered what you just described, which was that what if there is no 6th place finisher and there's only 5 candidates? The reason I hadn't considered that is because I've never been aware of a situation where that ever happened, where there was only 5 candidates. We could spend some more time to look at that and revise it again. I have to say though, if being perfectly candid, I think it's an extremely unlikely situation, and we've already spent kind of a lot of time on this, and I view it as like a municipal housekeeping issue. It's not like an issue of it's not a burning issue of the day, right? This is not a sexy thing to work on, and so I'm comfortable with it the way that it is. If the council feels that that possibility that Councillor Whitfield is raising is worth additional consideration in committee, we can do that. But I don't think that's as realistic a possibility. It's a realistic enough possibility to warrant additional conversation. I don't think so.
And I'm sorry, Mr. President, I know you got to move on, but is this the first time that we had to vote for a ward seat? Is this the first time that the council had to vote for a ward seat?
Yes.
So it was highly unlikely that this would happen until it happened. And so I don't understand why we wouldn't include every possible situation that could possibly happen now instead of something like this happening again in the future. And then we consider it at that point. So that's my only point, because it can happen that there's only 5. You know, it can happen that there's only 5. And even if there's a 6th, say there's only 6 candidates, it'll be in the same situation that you're in right now. The loser lost, the 6th person, if there's no 7, 8, 9, 10, because it's not always going to be a year where there's 10 at-large candidates. It could be 6, it could be 5, it could be. And so my question would be like, why wouldn't we consider all possible things that could happen now instead of coming back and amending it again later?
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Fenton, if you'd like to respond, let me get other councillors first. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, President Williams. My question is kind of for, if I can, for Councillor Fenton also, where the actual occurrence when it came with Councillor Twiggs' unfortunate passing, I researched it, and unfortunately, our area wasn't covered. I was sworn in, so I was picked and elected by the people. And on the books, they basically said it was on the regards to either the council or the actual council president. So what happens is you had an elected official who couldn't go to his seat, and the actual council president had to decide. And if, correct me if I'm wrong, did you guys, I didn't even get a chance to have a vote like my newly elected colleague. So we had someone who wasn't seated, who they had to decide, and the city council members had a chance to vote and pick him in, where I was an elected official and I didn't have that courtesy. I was just sitting there dormant while circumstance after circumstance and incidents after incidents every single day was happening in my area. And from what I know, what did you guys have a vote to vote me in? Did you guys vote me in?
Councillor Brown, who are you posing that question to?
To either the president or Councillor Fenton. I'm just curious, was that because I wasn't part of the actual council at the time, I wasn't allowed to. I was just wondering, did you guys go to a vote in order to get me in, an elected councillor?
Councillor Fenton.
Councillor Brown, so my recollection of the circumstances was that there was an election and you were the winner in that election. And Councillor Twiggs passed away sometime either right before or right after that election. And the issue was that because in 2 years prior to that, Councillor Twiggs' last election, he had an opponent, a gentleman whose name escapes me. He was technically the only person who could succeed to that seat under the current charter. And that is still the rule today. So while you were the councillor-elect, you couldn't be voted on by the council or anyone else to be sworn into that position because Councillor Twiggs had an opponent. What was different with Councillor Gomez's circumstance is that because he didn't have an opponent, then it went to the council to vote in that situation. So, you know, to Councillor Whitfield's earlier point, yes, these are all pretty rare circumstances. what is less rare is a ward counselor leaving midterm. I mean, because all of these problems arise in different ways if a ward counselor leaves midterm. And while, like I said, I think it's theoretically possible that an at-large counselor could leave and there would only be 5 counselors on the ballot before that. That is way less likely than a ward counselor leaving midterm and all these different questions that could arise. So I don't know if that gets to your question, Councilor Brown, but that's what happened. But we never voted on putting you in. You just couldn't be put in until January.
And from what, and just to reiterate, I did check, and based on the actual laws, what was told to me was what they have on the books is that it would be decided by the council president. That was illegal. That was what it was. Is there a way to amend it or do something where it can be a vote of the actual city council peers?
That doesn't sound right to me. I don't think that that's the case, that the council president would have the authority to do that. But either way, this proposal would change the whole situation and say that if somebody left midterm, either the seat stays open or there's a special election. It's one of the two. No more council picking who comes next. That's what this proposal does.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Councilor Fenton.
Councilor Letterman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just going to speak to the unique circumstance when Councilor Twiggs had passed away, because I think the circumstance there is addressed by this ordinance. The issue was it wasn't exactly midterm; it was late November, and so I think we only had something like 2 meetings left, and that was how it had ended up that the seat had stayed open. To the point of the at-larges, I mean, I think where I'm at on that is I am comfortable with the system that's in place of the 6th place finisher ascending in the event of a vacancy, because I think that person has been vetted theoretically, especially if you have a field of 10, which is often the case, and it looks like it's heading to be the case this year as well. However, I think Councilor Whitfield raises a good point. In the event that you had, say, a field of 7, and then you have one person that leaves for some reason, you have the 6th person move up. Now you only have one additional person. So, it is a good point to be raised. If we were to take that up either now or at a later time, I think I wouldn't necessarily want to move away from allowing the 6th place finisher to ascend, because I think to hold a whole election for a single at-large seat would be a challenge and would also be sort of cost prohibitive in the moment if there is somebody who has been vetted. However, we may want to consider down the line if those runners up are exhausted, which would be unlikely, but could occur in a different scenario. So I see that point. But my idea would be to still preserve the 6th place finisher until such a time that is not feasible. I also wonder if there's some sort of a situation where the sort of law of necessity would come into play. But again, I mean, if we have a committee meeting, we can get into all that.
Thank you, Councilor Letterman. Councilor Edwards.
I'd like to kind of pay deference to Councilor Whitfield's concerns and just offer the suggestion that my support of this is born out of the fact that as a ward counselor, as I've explained to somebody, if I have an opponent and my opponent obviously goes to the poll and votes for himself, he gets 1 vote. His 1 vote doesn't, and with my passing or my resignation, makes him the city councilor. That's not a significant amount of people as identified by the wards to have supported him. When we vote for the 6th person, the 6th person has competed and came close enough to come in 6th place, regardless of whether it was 7, 8, 9, 10, or even if there was a primary with 11 people, like I expect that you're going to have if all the ward councilors are intending to run for re-election, and with the landscape of what it looks like for challengers, it looks like it's going to be a primary coming up. But to Councilor Whitfield's concern, perhaps she might want to craft that type of legislation and then allow for that process to be vetted at a different time But right now, I think the most urgent thing we can do is to put in place what is before us tonight, because there are already more than, I believe, assuming that we're all 5 incumbents, at-large councillors, there are already no problem with having more than 5 or even 6 candidates running. And the difference also is that when we take an oath, I quite often as a ward councillor have to remind people that the oath that I take is to represent the entire city. And that is, there's a certain expectation that goes with when you run at large, that people don't question that unless they know specifically what neighborhood you live in. They may have, feel that you may lean more toward the neighborhood where you grew up or the neighborhood you live in. But the respect is given to you, Councilor Whitfield, and my other colleagues at large, is an expectation that your concerns is for the whole city. It's not just for the ward. I have to fend off constantly to people and explain that though, I have most of the South End, I have parts of Forest Park, I have parts of Six Corners, and I have Maple Heights, Six Corners. The oath I take is for the entire area. You as a large councillor, there's already that built-in expectation that that's the case. So I don't, in paying deference to Councilor Whitfield's concerns, my thing is if she would like to craft it, that's something that would be more complicated and would require more time and consideration. But for the purpose of what Councilor Davila has put forward, I think the most urgent thing we can do now is to get this passed. That gets us into the election, and it puts something in place to address the real concern, which is when it's only 2 people competing for 1 seat. And I know we get 100 signatures to get on the ballot, but quite often, just because you sign somebody's signature, to get them on the ballot, which is what my team says to people, this gets me on the ballot. This is not a vote for me to win. This is just a vote that qualifies me to be on the ballot. Shouldn't you be more concerned about the number of people who might just put their name on the ballot just so that they can get 1 or 2 votes? Because as the second place, they are guaranteed, if by God's will, one of us does not complete his term, they become the counselor. The part of the running for office in the election is for we to be vetted by our constituents and for the taxpayers in the city and the voters to have a chance to hear from us and to listen and to judge whether or not we're worthy and competent to serve them. And if you, Councilor Whitfield particularly, you've actually personally experienced it coming in second, 6th place. And yet, nobody really questioned your ascension to that position because you fought a good race in a good fight and you came in 6th. So you beat out 3 other people in the general election just to be in that position of being 6th. And I know what it's like to lose an election, and I also know what it's like to win. Unfortunately, I've won more than I've lost. But that's my feeling on it is that I won't make the judgment as to the value of what Councilor Whitfield is concerned about. I think it's legitimate. I just don't think, but I think at this point, because once we do pass this, if my understanding is correct, it still has to go to the legislature to be passed. And that was, if Councilor Davila, if my recollection is correct, when Councilor Davila mentioned it at a committee meeting, is that he was concerned about the delay and the sense of urgency. And I think he even mentioned it might falling through the cracks, which I assured him that I would have the General Government Committee to vet it so that we could bring it back for consideration as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Edwards. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just let you know, I seem to be having connectivity issues again, so if you lose me, that's what it is. I just want to put things into a little some perspective here. Unless I'm mistaken, to the best of my recollection, Mr. President, at the at-large seats in the last 12 years, there's only been 1 opening in the last 12 years, unless I'm mistaken. In the city council for the ward seat, since representation was instituted in 2009, there has been 3 instances in which a seat has been available, potentially with a 4th, but this time one of the councilors is staying on to complete his term, avoiding having necessity to appoint somebody. And so I do think that we can address the concern at large, which is an extremely valid concern. I would say the law probability is that it's pretty next to 0 that that's going to happen. However, it's something that could be, as Councilor Edwards mentioned, addressed with another legislation if the council chooses to do so. And so based upon that of the law probability, I would strongly believe that this necessitates, and hence the sense of urgency, in case, God forbid, that there's another opening in the ward seat, that the people of the ward are represented, and that they choose who is going to represent them. Because to me, Mr. President, when you have the honor and the privilege of sitting in the chair in the city council, to me, it's only one path and one path only to sit on the chair, and that is by campaigning and by being elected to the people. Because ultimately, in my opinion, this decision belongs to the people and not to us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Allen.
Mr. President, I defer to, I might speak later, but I defer to Councilor Brown and Councilor Whitfield.
All right, Councilor Whitfield, you're next in the queue.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to Councilor Finn and Councilor Edwards and Councilor Davila for the explanations. I don't know how much more work it would be is that an amendment to change it? I don't know why it's so difficult to amend it tonight. I don't know. So I wanted to ask Attorney Moore, like what is the difficulties in doing that? And then I wanted to say that when we're elected for the city because we make decisions for the city, whether we live in a ward or not, whether we're ward represent a ward or not, we vote for everything. And so that is, I know that a lot of your constituents come to you because they know you and they have a relationship, but your constituents also come to me. And so I just wanted to clarify that because a lot of times I hear that from ward councilors, and not to put anybody on the spot in particular, that my ward and things like that, but it's the whole city for all of us. We vote on the whole city. But I do understand where you're coming from because that's your ward and your relationships are really, really strong there and you live there and it's the community. But I did also want to say that, but my question is for more, how difficult is it to make this amendment? Like what makes it so difficult? This is what I'm not understanding or grasping. And another thing, Councilor Davila, I appreciate you bringing the statistics of the seats that were open, but as I mentioned before, this is the first time that it's ever happened where the council had to elect a person to go into the seat. And while I appreciate what Councilor Edwards said about a person could get 1 vote, that person still went out, got the 100 signatures, put their ring in the hat. And if it's 1 vote that they got, that's what they got. So I just want to understand why this makes it so difficult. And then I can move on. I just don't understand it.
Attorney Moore, would you like to comment?
Sure. I guess I'm not sure that it is a difficult thing to draft. You know, I don't know if there are other concerns that make it so that people want to have lengthier discussions about what the drafting, results in. But as far as like writing the words on the paper, it's not going to take very long to do that. I wouldn't classify it as super complicated at all, really. You know, right now you have it on paper that says if a vacancy occurs on the city council or a member who was elected as a ward representative. I mean, you really could just change that to just take that part out and just have it say city council. So, I think the difficulties maybe not in that part, but in the impact of doing that is maybe what's being referenced. So as far as my end, like how long would it take me to redraft this? You could do that pretty easy, but I think maybe that's the other point to it. So I can't speak to the other part of it, but as far as like the logistical drafting, I'm not sure it would be a heavy lift at all.
So maybe I'm not understanding the impact then. Can you kind of expound on the impact? Because maybe I'm not understanding that.
Sure, to the best that I've understood it from the discussion that I was just kind of listening to, I think it's the idea that the ward representatives are in a different position when they're running against like an opponent than you would have as the at-large group running, where you have, you know, the ability to select more than one candidate in that voting process. I think that's really the distinction that's being drawn. Again, you could argue, I think reasonably on both sides, that, you know, you could do it one way or the other. That's kind of, I think, what you guys are doing. So I don't know that there's, like, in my mind, if I'm looking at it legally, yeah, I can't say that there's, you know, any bright lines that you guys are crossing one way or the other where it would make it a problem. It's really just what the council ultimately decides. You know, if you guys want to make it for every single counselor, then that's what you can do. I don't know that it's logistically that difficult to draft, but again, if there's considerations that I'm not thinking of, maybe there's other pieces of this that I'm missing. But that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Attorney Moore. And I just want to remind councilors, we've certainly had extensive conversation on this topic, and I see hands continually going up. So at some point, you know, we're either going to have to move toward the vote, or I think motion to subcommittee. But I will call on the next councilors that have raised their hand. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, President Williams. I would have to agree with my colleague, Councilor Whitfield. I think these are the times where it's fortunate that she did come catch it. And I'm sure that we all can agree that it is a piece that's I believe we need it. I don't think that we should say, oh, it might not happen. It might not happen. We're in this situation. She's correct off of something that we said might not happen. I would think that if we're going to do it, we should do it right. And I really do believe that the situation could occur, like my colleague, Councilor Whitfield, said, and I would like to try to address that. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Curran.
I just want to quickly say, I think the strength of the current system, at least for at large, is that the sixth place vote getter, that carries weight. When you're running at large, at least I view it, you're not running against the other candidates. Really what you're doing is you're going across the city and collecting votes. Whereas the ward, you're running one-on-one, where it is a traditional election. And so the sixth place vote getter does have significant weight. And usually under the system, because it is citywide and there's 8 wards, it's really difficult to have a new person come on to the council because it's difficult to run at large. And I really think that we are kind of doing a disservice to those new people who want to get involved in the civic life of the city of Springfield, because if you are in the 6th place and a councilor does leave, then that is an opportunity to get on the council and go again. If you're going to ask that 6th place person to turn around, let's say 4 months later, and to run another citywide campaign to somebody who's maybe never run a campaign before, it's really going to have a chilling effect. And then you might have the situation where the person in the 6th place, who was chosen by the voters to have all those votes, they may just say they don't want to go through that again. So I kind of just my view, just to add to the conversation, which has been a good one, it's not winning or losing when you're running at large. It's really you're collecting votes, and that the 6th place vote getter does have weight. And so I think the current system kind of works in that respect, and allows the 6th place vote getter, as we've seen in the past, to get on the council. Whereas the ward is a different system. It's a different way. So I kind of think that the current system, the way it's set up, has some merit to it at the large level. And I think that's the reason why there's the difference in filling the vacancy. Those are just my points.
Councilor Curran. Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Mr. President. You know, in my years on the council, I've seen this happen where something is headed down a road and it looks like it's going to pass, and then somebody brings up something that nobody had thought of, and we're all rethinking where we are. And while I respect Councilor Edwards' point of before, where he just said, let's do these things that we were targeted to do tonight, we've clearly got a confused situation at this point. Councilor Whitfield brought something up that we haven't really addressed totally. And I'm not sure it's a good situation in order to complete that tonight. So I'm going to make a motion that we put this in committee and let these different thoughts germinate and talk about them in committee, and then come back and do it after everybody's had time to think about it. There's new things that have been presented tonight. I thought it was going to go easily. It hasn't gone easily. So I make a motion to committee.
I'll second that motion.
All right, there's been a motion by Councillor Allen to send this to committee, seconded by Councillor Edwards. Councillor Davila on the motion. You're muted, Councillor.
I was going to speak before the motion, but I couldn't include my comments within the motion. I do think that, first of all, I think that there has been extremely good points brought up. And let's be realistic. There's 1,000 ways you can sketch a cat. There's 1,000 ways you can sketch a cat. And the points today has been very valid, very good points brought up. However, sending this to committee will mean that this will be killed with kindness. That's what it means. If we send this to committee, we are going to kill it with kindness. And we are not in my opinion, we're doing a disservice to the people by not allowing them to make their own decision who's going to vote. Now, I understand the thought about doing this. And to a degree, yes, it makes sense to look at this and put it into this legislation. However, it also makes sense, in my opinion, to pass this and then draft a different legislation, special act addressing the city council. It's a legislation that I'd be more than happy to work with if necessary. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I heard Attorney Moore say that it would not be difficult drafting a separate legislation addressing the city council at large. So that's my biggest concern. If this, I'm going to vote no on the committee, because again, my sense of urgency, based on probability, this could happen, God forbid, that this happens again. But it is more likely than not it's going to happen at war. And I'm more than glad to look at the city council at large with another legislation, but let's give the people the right to choose who's going to represent them when there is an opening in the city council. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Councillor Davila. I see, first of all, there's a motion on the floor, and I see Councillor Whitfield and Edwards and Hurst, their hands up. I know Councillor Hurst has not had the opportunity to speak on this, so can I please?
A difference. Yeah.
Councillor Hurst, and I'll circle back.
I'll be real brief. I think Councillor Davila actually makes a really good point. It seems to me like this particular ordinance, if you separate the ward councilors versus the at-large councilors, it seems like folks are in agreement with this ordinance with respect to the ward councilors in all facets. And so I'm not 100% sure how much it would take to do two separate special acts. But it seems to me, since we have a bird in hand right now, we probably shouldn't wait, for two in a bush. And it only makes sense to, if folks want to draft something for the at-large candidates, we might as well just do that at a later date as opposed to sending this one to committee. With that said, I'll yield, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Councillor Hurst. I'll shoot right back up to Councillor Whitfield.
Thank you. Just 2 points. First, Attorney Moore said it wouldn't be hard to amend this particular ordinance. And then second, I don't know what kill with kindness means. I don't know what kill with kindness means, because I know that Councillor Edwards said he would make sure that that didn't happen if it was sent to committee. I'm not really sure that I know what that means. And also I know that this order was brought back, and if it is killed, it could be brought back again. I know that these things can happen as well. Drafting two legislators to do two legislative orders to do the same goal just seems like it's an unnecessary thing when you can amend something so simply. So I just really didn't know what kill with kindness meant. And I know that we don't have to do this right now today. We don't have to do this right now today, and this will not die. That's a want. And just like it's a want to draft two ordinances, just like it's a want to send this back to committee. But whatever all of my colleagues decide, I'm gonna go with it. I would prefer to have more discussion. It's hard for me to have general government and go to general government meetings that happen at 2 and 1:30 and 12 because of my work schedule. I'm not gonna make those. I would have to go back and look at the videos and things like that. But I will do my best if it is into committee to be there to work things out. If not, I go with the council.
All right, thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Allen has made a motion, and Councilor Edwards on the motion.
Yes, actually, thank you, Mr. President. To Attorney Moore's point, writing the legislation is not the issue in terms of it being complicated. It's just the conversation as we're having now with different opinions and different interpretations of what is necessarily needed. Councilor Hurst is correct. There seems to be a consensus around the part related to ward representation, and that was where my support of this item was just addressing that part. When we came into the meeting, we weren't thinking or expecting to have a conversation about at-large councilors. And so when the comments that I was making about, about paying deference to what Councilor Whitfield was saying, I agree with her concerns and what she's trying to say. It's just that didn't come prepared to vote for that. That's what and what I did come prepared was to vote on how we were going to address ward councilors. So it's not difficult, it's not complicated, but as you can see from the conversation now that we're having, you got multiple opinions and views, and it's none of them, and we may all be circling close to the same thing, but I think there was a consensus that we all were in agreement on how to address the ward. So why not pass that? And my second of sending it to committee was just to allow Councilor Whitfield more time to try to answer some of the questions. This was discussed in the General Government Committee meeting last week that was at 4:30. And so I understand people have jobs. And in fact, I scheduled it at 4:30 after reaching out to Councilor Davila and to Councilor Williams and some other councilors, just trying to make sure that this, particularly the lead sponsor, the original sponsor or drafter of it, Councilor Fenton, and Councilor Davila could be there. And it was publicized, but there is no perfect time for being able to hold a meeting. But if we can pass this, I was just trying to be courteous by seconding the motion, and I guess it doesn't matter who seconds it. But our goal came in with the expectation tonight that we were going to address this issue related to ward councilors. And if it's not complicated, Councilor Whitfield or any other councilor, I believe that her colleagues or our colleagues would all be willing to have another meeting in the appropriate committee to address the at-large part so that everybody could have that conversation, get some type of, get it all hashed out, so to speak, and then brought back to the committee of the whole. So that's kind of my feelings, is that it doesn't necessarily, I'm not necessarily think it's important that we go back to committee to address all those parts of it. I came in today prepared because we had drafted and we had vetted what we were supposed to be voting on, and then questions came up. So that's where the complication is, that we didn't have that expectation. And now we're considering things on the fly, kind of people's different interpretations of the value of what is being suggested.
Motion to move the question on committee in the spirit of our great friend, the late Councilor E. Henry Twiggs.
Second. All right, there has been a motion on the floor to move the question and seconded by Councilor Gomez. Madam Clerk, do we need to call the roll on moving to question? Yes.
Yes.
Can we please take the roll on moving to question?
And this has to pass by a 2/3 majority.
And Madam Clerk, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is just on moving the question and not the actual item, correct?
Exactly.
Can I ask you point of order? Because I don't think Councilor Letterman's hand was up before mine or Councilor Davila. So how did we go to Councilor Letterman and move the question before we were called on?
His hand was up before.
Yeah, and it went down, and then he put it back up after Councilor Davila and mine.
Mr. President, my understanding is that motion to move the question is always in order. But to clarify, My motion is just to move the question on the vote to
I know
committee.
what your motion is,
Uh,
Councilor Letterman.
So that's the motion. Mr.
I
President.
was just asking about point of order.
Certainly.
Madam Clerk, did you have a
I
comment?
I can read the rule if you'd like.
Please.
The previous question shall be in the form of move the question. It only shall be admitted when demanded by 2/3 of the members if a quorum be present, and until it is decided shall preclude all amendments and debate of the main question. And after the adoption of the previous question, the sense of the council shall forthwith be taken upon amendments, report by a committee upon all pending amendments in their order, and then upon the main question.
All right, thank you. So can you please call the roll on moving to question?
On moving the question, Councilor Edwards,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Letterman,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Gomez,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Allen,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Curran,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Whitfield,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Ramos,
Abstain.
abstained. I'm sorry, abstained. Councilor Brown,
Yeah.
yes. Councilor Walsh, absent. Councilor Davila,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Fenton,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Hurst,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Williams,
Yes, the motion to move the question has passed. Madam Clerk, at this time, can we please take the roll on passing? I'm sorry, can you just to rectify that? The next step we will take is now on the actual item to pass the special act, correct?
no, we have a motion to committee made by Councilor Allen.
Perfect, thank you, Madam Clerk. We have a motion on the floor by Councilor Allen to send this to committee. Is there a second on the floor?
Yes, we have a second by Councilor. It was by Councilor Edwards.
All right, seconded by Councilor Edwards. Okay, can we please call the roll then on motioning this to committee?
On the motion to committee, Councilor Edwards,
No.
no. Councilor Letterman,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Gomez,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Allen,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Curran,
Yes.
yes. Councilor Whitfield,
Yes.
yes. Councilor, yes. Councilor Walsh, absent. Councilor Davila,
No.
no. Councilor Fenton,
No.
no. Councilor Hurst,
No.
no. Councilor Williams,
No. Can you please give the count there, Madam Clerk? I believe it's a 6.
the motion failed.
Motion fails. Is there any other discussion at this time from the council?
Can we still have discussion or is discussion over?
Madam Clerk, I believe we can have discussion. Can you correct that?
Yes, you can continue discussion.
Yes. Councilor Letterman. Councilor Davila.
I yield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to say a comment. Just having some very good valid points that have been brought up by Councilor Whitfield, and the issues that they do need to be addressed. And I'd be more than happy, Councilor Whitfield, to work on with you on addressing the city council at large with a separate legislation act. I'd be more than honored and happy to do that with you, stating that for the record. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Whitfield.
Councilor Davila, I appreciate that. I just want you to know I'm not against this legislation, but it's not a consensus. If someone doesn't understand something, that means there wasn't a whole consensus. It also means that every counselor was not contacted to see if it's a good time. And so I just wanted to make those 2 points, but I am not against this at all. And I look forward to working with you on a future one.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Are there any questions or comments at this time from the council? All right, seeing none, I entertain a motion at this time to pass the special act.
I make a motion.
All right, motion made by Councilor Whitfield, second.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Davila. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on passing this item?
On passing the special act, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos abstained. Counselor Brown
Stay.
abstained. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams.
Yes, and Madam Clerk, can you please give me the vote tally on that? As 9 votes are needed to pass this act.
It was 10 votes, so the motion is approved.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, can you please call the next item on the agenda?
The next item on the agenda is amending chapter 385, speed hump petitions, and it's on for second and third step, continued for March 15th.
All right.
Motion to continue, Mr. President.
All right, there is a motion
Second.
by Councilor Fenton to continue, seconded by Councilor Whitfield. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll to continue?
On continuing the item, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Ramos.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Walsh absent. Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Williams.
Yes, the matter has been continued. Madam Clerk, is there any other business before the council at this time?
There is no further business before the council.
All right, and before I let everyone go, one of our colleagues' birthday is today, I believe. I would like to wish our city councilor as well as state rep Orlando Ramos a very happy birthday.
Happy
birthday, Ramos.
Oh, wait, can we
Happy
sing?
birthday.
We should sing.
Cumpleaños.
Don't want to hear me sing.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday to
to
you.
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Happy
birthday
to
you.
Que lo cumpla feliz, que lo
Feliz, que lo cumplas feliz, que lo cumpla, que lo cumpla
feliz.
Feliz
Mr. President, upon request, I can do it in
everybody.
Polish
Appreciate it.
if you would like.
Well, how about that for some unison? All right, appreciate you.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Counselors, can I actually, I have another reminder. I'm missing the sexual harassment policy acknowledgement, the residency certificate, and the state ethics certificate from several counselors. So if you guys, I'll send a reminder email tomorrow morning for everyone. If you sent them already, thank you. If you have not, can you please send those to me so I can get them to HR, please?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam
Have a good
Clerk.
night. Happy birthday, Counselor Ramos.
Thank you.
Happy
Appreciate it.
birthday.